Teach us now.
The Lord be with you and with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Chapter 19, verses 3 to 12. At that time, Pharisees came up to Jesus and tested him by asking, "Is it lawful to divorce one's wife for any cause?" He answered, "Have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female and said, 'Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh.' So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let not man separate." They said to him, "Why then did Moses command one to give a certificate of divorce and to send her away?" He said to them, "Because of your hardness of heart. Moses allowed you to divorce your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another commits adultery." The disciples said to him, "If such is the case of a man with his wife, it is better not to marry." But he said to them, "Not everyone can receive this saying, but only those to whom it is given. For there are eunuchs who have been so from birth, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by men, and there are eunuchs who have made themselves eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. And the one who is able to receive this, receive it." The Gospel of the Lord. Dear friends, chapter 16 of Prophet Ezekiel is the most characteristic passage, chapter of this whole book. A wonderful imagery, and we could literally see how Ezekiel describes from the birth the connection of this child with the mother, from the start of the umbilical cord until how this person grows up and how she marries and how she becomes unfaithful and how she is punished. You see the whole process in a very with a particular imagery of wedding or marriage or fidelity or covenant, so beautifully described. This is the most important passages of this whole book. And also we see in the gospel today a bit of a detail on divorce, marriage, and the commitment, and a lot to do with the living together of husband and wife. If you see this whole text, both the first reading as well as the gospel reading, one thing is very clear for all of us. Like God's covenant with the people of Israel, as He remained faithful from the beginning of the covenant till the end of the covenant, it is expected from all of us to savor, to save, to cherish, to nourish every relationship. So relationship is not something which we can experiment with. Relationship is not something we can go on saying it is not working for me. We have to make it work for us. If we have doubts, if we have problems, if we foresee issues, if our intuition says that is not going to work, dear friends, I think we have to take time to enter into a covenant, because covenant is not a joke. That's why when it comes to traditional marriages, people take a lot of time. They They see the match in so many ways. They go through the family's whole history, they go through a lot of details, they check with their compatibility, they check with a lot of other aspects which might appear to be very insignificant, but the people, the seniors, the elders, people know when all these things work well, relationship also works quite well. But what happens in today's context? Relationship has become a commodity. I try as any new recipe. If it is working good for me, I stick on to it, and after a period of time, I move to the next recipe, which is going to be tasting good for me. So we are making this whole relationship into a commodity, and there is a tendency for all of us to keep changing whatever we are using as of now, and we have started using also people the same way. A new model comes in the market, a new iPhone is being released, and not any new gadget is up in the market. There are people who immediately they do away with their existing gadgets and move to the next one, and people are in a hurry to keep changing, and there is a kind of an obsession to go for something new. It's always good to update, it's always good to see the new features and stuff like that, but this is not a commodity. Relationship is not a commodity. We have to understand, we have to explore newer nuances of living together, but not running away from our commitment, running away from our from our fidelity, just because it's not really working, it's not really interesting, it's really boring. So dear friends, it's a big challenge. Okay, as priest I can talk about our commitment in religious life, as our commitment to God. Yes, at times it is, we go through this boredom, we go through all the problems that any human being goes through. But very clearly Jesus says, it's a tricky question when these Pharisees ask, they know why they are asking this particular question, because they want to trap him like John the Baptist, because John the Baptist questioned Herod and Herod's wife that you are not having a legal marriage. So he questioned, and that is the reason he was put to death. So they are expecting something like this for Jesus' answer, and Jesus knows their mindset. But he is still very clear. He says, even Moses' exception that he gave, it's because of the rebellious nature of people. So accordingly, even there, even infidelity, unfaithfulness cannot be a reason for us to terminate a relationship. And when I go through this whole text of the Old Testament and all these days, the question that comes to my mind, why were people of Israel running away from Yahweh? Because what they found was Yahweh was boring. The newer deities, the newer people coming into life, they were very interesting. Yeah, anything that is new is always interesting. Just recollect the day when your present relationship, just recollect the day how you started it all. It was also very interesting. And today it is boring. Same thing is going to happen also to the next newer person coming into your life. So if you say this, my commitment to my religious life is boring, I want to leave. Okay, you can leave. But what are you going to do with the next relationship? Whatever commitment that you're going to make next, you are going to come with the same fate. So what is the solution? Once we say we keep moving away, breaking it, moving to the next one, breaking it, moving to the next one, there is no end. There is no end. So it's always good to take some time and make a commitment. And once we make a commitment, it is once and for all. We try to rectify as much as possible. Of course, there is a situation where it is very impossible, it's very abusive, people take it for granted and people literally choke us to death. Of course, we can always have our liberty to move away from people of that sort, but not on an experimental basis. Dear friends, it's a very challenging task, but it applies for all of us. In some way or other, we have a commitment. It is not only in marriage. It also applies for friendship. It also applies in the companies where I work. It also applies in the places of our work. It also applies in the community. You say, I'm not getting along in this community, so you ask for transfer. You go to the next community, you're going to have the same fate. A person who can manage in one particular community will also manage in every other community. So once if transfer is our only solution, all our life will be only moving from places to place. So this is a challenge. So let's pray through this beautiful, wonderful saint, Maximilian Kolbe. Remain very steadfast. With all these sufferings, he could have easily ran away. But he remained strong because relationship demands lots and lots of sacrifice. It's not only fun. It's not only frolic. It is a sacrifice. It is a discipline. So once we have this perspective right, we will try to nourish and savor and save every relationship. And once we give up and keep moving from one person to the next person in terms of transfer, be it friendship, be it husband and wife relationship, be it in a religious commitment, transfer is not the solution. The only solution is to stick on and work out and bring in a lot more sacrifice, bring in a lot more dedication. Always go back to the day one, how the way you began, how it was very much interesting. Let's not forget the day we began it. Every time we recollect that, I think we will not crave for any transfer.